Yes, sir, Ding King, sir. What's happening? It's good to see y'all. We got Amber in the whip. We got Kelsey in the whip. We got Matt Picture in the whip, but I know he in the crib. You know what I'm saying? We got Nicole on this thing. Welcome to Book Club, Nicole. It's good to see you this morning. I'm excited, y'all, truly, because this book, honestly, changed the game for me the first time I read it, the second time I read it, and now wait, the third time I read it, and now about to be the fourth time I read it. So I'm excited. I learned an amazing lesson a long time ago. And this guy told me that it is not about who reads the most books, it is about who reads the right books the most times. Therefore, you can actually understand and overstand the information, which is why we have kept this book in Roto every single year that we've done this book club, going on 3 years now. It's crazy to even think about. We've been having a lot of fun on Saturday morning. So I appreciate y'all all for being here. Truly, this book has definitely done damage. A little background, if you guys don't know about Robert Kiyosaki, his nickname is the mentor to the millionaires. He created the cash flow quadrant. This man has mentored more millionaires than anybody else on the planet. And for the last 20 years, every financial prediction that this man has had has come to pass. Literally, this book has been a personal finance bestseller for the last, what, I think he wrote this book in 1995, so coming up on 30 years. Like, you guys got to really understand, information is timeless. Truly, it is timeless. And this information right now will change your situation if you choose to not only just read it. That's the first biggest part. I do not want to hear anybody hop on the book club during this book and say, I haven't read the book yet, because there's a whole free audio on YouTube. There's a whole free book in the app. There's a whole free book on the website. There's a whole book inside of any freaking bookstore on the planet. So, and this is one that, I mean, majority of you guys who are not brand spanking new and haven't been doing this for less than a year, you guys have literally read this before. What's up, Anna? What's good, girl? Good to see you, girl. But in that, with that being said, y'all, hey, it's okay, girl. I look like I just woke up too. You know what I'm saying? It's all good. You know what I'm saying? We here. But in that, y'all, like this one, I really plead that everybody just take this serious. Truly, if you are not where you want to be in your life, it is not the fact that you have an income problem. I know for a fact that everybody on this call does things for work, period. You have a priority problem, a spending problem, period. This book teaches you how to shift your mindset and have a paradigm shift from the poor mindset that most of us were born into and conditioned to live for the first 18 years of our lives to the rich mindset that most of us are trying to get to. It's a whole process, and you've got to actually succumb to the process. You've got to actually be willing to do the work, and you've got to actually be willing to consume the content, period. One of the things that I've seen some of the most successful people on the planet do is they consume more educational content than anybody else, which is crazy because they got more money than everybody else. In all actuality, like, you would think that they don't need to read any books because they're successful, yet they do it more than anybody else who's out here living like they don't want to. So in this season, y'all, please, 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 please hear me, because I never go in this hard in the beginning of a book club. But I'm going in today because this book is actually that important. Like, take the time, go to the freaking website, go to the app, go download that thing, go to YouTube, go listen to it, go grab the actual physical book and read that thing, period. Because truly, these are lessons that you do not want to miss if you are trying to get somewhere in your life. And I know for a fact, each and every one of y'all looking at me on this call are trying to get somewhere in your life. So don't drop the ball because you're too focused on comfort rather than growth. Like, get uncomfortable, and it's going to be very uncomfortable to read all of this damn book. It's going to be extremely uncomfortable, because in that you're going to be reading things that completely go against everything that you were taught when it comes to finances. But what's dope is he truly breaks this down in a way that it's just like digestible. And then for those of us parents on this call, aunties, uncles, if you got any kids that you closely work with, closely mentor, closely live with, whatever the case may be, I highly recommend if you guys are, because everybody throws around this generational wealth word, and don't nobody actually do no work to do this shit, because generational wealth is not just leaving a paycheck. That's not generational. That will go for one generation, and then those people that you didn't pass on the financial literacy to will go ahead and be illiterate, and they will blow all that bread. Period. This is the reason why trust fund babies, the people who create the trust funds, they create rules with those trust funds so they can't go and fuck up the bag. Like there is a reason for this, truly. And so I highly recommend as we all raise our children, bro, Robert Kiyosaki has so many different resources out here that teach financial literacy to kids. So many. It's wild. You can literally turn on YouTube and he has his own YouTube, Rich Dad, Poor Dad for Kids. If I'm not mistaken, it's a whole channel. But I know for a fact they did a whole series. He has an entire platform just built for children. So in that, you guys like truly become the rich dad or the rich mom in your life. And it first starts with becoming, then you do it, and then you have it. So the way that we become is by consuming the information and switching our entire paradigm. So shout out to this book club because that's exactly what we do for the rich TO. You're right. You know what I'm saying? Locals. Oh geez. Hold on, let me catch all of the chats. I just seen hella messages come through. Oh, where did it go? There it is. Good morning, bueno. Good morning. Okay, mention. Okay, bow. So last thing, we obviously been going ham the last few weeks and it's been lit, y'all. I ain't gonna cap. And we thick today. You know what I'm saying? We got 11 on the call today. So, or excuse me, 10 of us on the call today. So with that being said, we are going to put a timer on us all. And I apologize because I definitely just went over my own damn timer, kicking us off on this call. But we're gonna put a timer on. We can do 4 minutes for each of us. I will literally, I got two phones now, so I definitely can keep track of the timer. But I'm gonna keep track of the timer, and then we gonna get this thing cracking. So, would anybody like to open up? Even though I kind of just opened. Amber in the whip. She said, "I do." Bet it up. Slide to you, Amber Tellez. Go ahead, get it in.
Real quick, are we recording? Okay. Sorry, I don't remember it being on. I just want to make sure. Let me pull up my notes. What's up, everybody? Saturday morning, busy, baby shower. Okay. So, I can't see myself. I just have I see my notes only. So if I look crazy on screen, sorry. But this book, is crazy. There's like so much I can say. Literally, like I was listening to it, I was reading it like over and over again. And I felt like honestly 1 week with just those two chapters wasn't enough. Like I don't want to move on to the next chapters because I just felt like there was so much in the first two chapters, like to unpack that the different point, all the different things he said. Um, so literally when I was thinking about what to talk about, what is the time limit? Did you say 4 minutes? Okay. Um, the only like big thing that kept sticking out to me like in this first chapter over and over and over again that I was um really like happy to just review over and over and over again was the mindset and the way that we think about money. And I was really glad that they had like brought that up and like that was, the one of the main topics in the first chapter. Um like literally right here, it says the other believed in total financial self-reliance. He spoke out against the entitlement mentality and how it created weak and financially needy people. He was emphatic about being financially competent. And honestly, that's the mindset that we have to have, believe in total financial self-reliance. Like victim mentality, the mentality of like blaming the government and blaming all these things. Like, I'll never forget one time whenever I was younger, my mom had like mentioned that. I remember one time, I don't know, I was like a teenager and I literally was like repeating what I had heard somebody say. I was like, oh, yeah, like the economy. Like, I don't know, because I don't know what I was talking about. And my mom literally looked at me and she was like, that stuff doesn't apply to us. She was like, we're going to be fine. And I remember at the time, like, kind of adopting that and like thinking that and just like I'm glad that she had said that for that moment because I just always thought about that like for the rest of my years. Even though I didn't really know, I just knew like when there was like stuff complaining, people complaining about stuff, I just started to realize the pattern of like, oh, it's really never gonna end, like the complaining. Like there's always something for people to be mad about. There's always something. Um like we could complain about. And it's really like a decision for whether if you want to decide to engage in that or not, you know, because we're all out here, we're all living with the circumstances. And it's you know, me, if you're a powerful creator, you believe in finding the higher perspective, and um like being open to opportunities. And that was one of the things that they had talked about in this first chapter is instead of saying I can't afford that, asking yourself how can I afford that, you know. And that mindset shift is really, really huge. So this is the one topic that I like to talk about, because I noticed that people really do shape their lives through their thoughts. um my rich dad, on the other hand, always referred to himself as rich. He would always say things like, I'm a rich man and rich people don't do this. Even when he was flat broke after a major financial setback, he continued to refer to himself as a rich man. He would cover himself by saying there is a difference between being poor and being broke. Broke is temporary, poor is eternal. The power of your words right there, you know, check out my affirmation book. But yeah, so um my poor dad says I'm not interested in money. Money doesn't matter. And honestly, like that's something that I've experienced in relationships and like talking to people. Like I've met people who like say that they weren't passionate about something, or like they weren't passionate about like their purpose or whatever. But then I realized like over like time knowing them, that eventually I find out that they were passionate about it. But at that time they really just didn't believe that they could do what they wanted to do. So they didn't want to talk about it. So they acted like they weren't passionate about it. But and that's what it talks about in the book. Like, you know, his dad does care about money, but he doesn't know how to handle it or increase it or make it. So he like doesn't want to think about it and acts like he doesn't care about it, but really he does. But that's all I gotta say. Let's see. Popcorn the next person. Who's JJ? Hello. But if they don't want to go, like popcorn, Imani has a camera on.
Yeah, I was gonna say JJ is brand new. I hope that JJ got access to the book. If he didn't, it's all good. We'll get it to you, big dog. But glad you here, brother. Tune in.
What's up, y'all? I got 5 minutes. Damn, I was trying to see if you was gonna let me slide. this book, this book means a lot to me. It was actually the first book that I learned about financing, investing in my whole journey. I used to take the train back and forth from my sister's house to LA, and I met this guy. He was like, I like you. I think you'll love this book. So he actually bought the book for me. One time I was coming on the train, he had it waiting for me. He signed it and everything. So like my friend has my copy right now. So when I get it, I'm going to send y'all what he said, because this book is crazy. And now that I'm in like this completely different place in my life, I have to say that I understand this book so much better the second time around. It's crazy. So I'm like diving in deep, and 5 minutes is not enough. 5 minutes is just not enough. I have notes for days. Okay. So I would say that like if I wanted to start off, like my first note is like our debt controls us, you know, unfortunately. Like since we have like, y'all, I hope y'all know that our dollar is not backed by anything. So we're just debt. We're just debt in this country, and that is such a huge deal for our finances. Nobody is taught, not many people are taught financial literacy at a young age except the wealthy. So that already creates like a huge gap in time between the haves and the have-nots. And that's something that he actually mentions in the book as well. It's somewhere in my notes, but you know, like it's just so much for me to take in. One thing I love that his dad said, the rich dad said, or the poor dad said, money is the root of all evil. Rich dad said, lack of money is. And you kind of start to see that the lack of money creates this cycle of what he was talking about, fear and desire. You fear that you are not able to get all of these things that your desires just crave, you know, and there's nothing wrong with having desires. It just becomes a problem when it becomes greed. And once you have that fear, he said, it starts the cycle over and over. So this kind of book helps us break those habits that could have been, and it's not even that they were taught, it's possible because I was not taught financial literacy, but it's literally the ignorance of not having the not like the knowledge. You have to know how to use your finances, and in other countries they teach their kids finances very early. So we in America just have a very hard time getting through, but that's just because we're a new country. We haven't had a financial or empire collapse. And those are things that I think about that's actually kind of imminent if you're not understanding what finances is. So, excuse me, the best thing that we can do as a whole is
It's in
understand
my wallet.
financial and turn and teach financial literacy to other people. It's like that's the only way we can get through this crazy time that we're in right now. Okay. How much time do I have? Oh God, I don't know.
Hey girl, just keep going and I will let you know. I will give you this. Your intro, I ain't gonna put that on your 4 minutes. You know what I'm saying? Your intro about your man with the story. So you still got about 2 minutes left.
Okay, pause. Let me just figure out, because I swear to God, I have, look, I'm not kidding. It's just notes for days. Like I really dissected this. Okay, let me just pick one thing and then and that'll be my 2 minutes. Okay, that's what I'm gonna choose. That's what I'm gonna choose. He said, emotion means energy in motion. And y'all, that's too powerful. Energy in motion. Like that fuels our decisions, which is not what we're supposed to do in finances. You're not supposed to go off your emotions, and that stifles growth. So I am learning these things. And when he said, be truthful about your emotions and use your mind and emotions in your favor, not against you, be an observer, not a reactor of your emotions. That's crazy. That's crazy, because if you do, you trigger the fear response, which is because you want the desires, then you get the desires, but then you're fearing that you're not, and then bam, you're in the rat race. Just like that. Just like that. I'm actually in the precipice of it right now. I've been off of work for months, 6 months. It's been the most enlightening time of my life. I know it was destined and planned out by myself and God in unison. And it was like it's working in my favor. But now I'm getting at the point where I'm like, I got to pay rent and my savings. So what do? Do I go to work? And then he said, is work the best outcome for this situation? I don't know. How do I learn? I don't know. I'm just trying to figure it out, but I got to pay rent in like a week. And I'm just like, I guess we're going to figure it out. So I'm starting real estate classes, and this is all happening at the same time. We're reading this book. So it's really tripping me out because I do understand it, and I'm trying to like figure out how to make it. And I just don't want to be caught in the rat race anymore. So this is a good time for this book. And if anybody wants to talk about the notes that I have, like I would love to. Just hit me up. I'm gonna drop my Instagram.
I got you, girl. We talk about
girl,
that all
like
day.
I just need to really dissect this with like in depth, not like
Hey sis, so if there's anything that someone brings up, you know what I'm saying, in discussion and you want to add to it really quick, like that's totally fine too, you know what I'm saying? It's not like a strict thing. We're mindful of people's time, you know what I'm saying? We just want to make sure everybody's in tune. But I appreciate the energy, love. Killing it. Quit playing with her. The vocabulary, top tier.
Hey, I do what I do. I do my best, you know. But yeah, thanks for like, I love book club. I'll say that time and time again. Like, this is the time. Nothing happens on accident. Like, this is all vibing at the same time. My money's going down, but my mind is going. My mind is going up. I'm gonna pass it to Cam.
What up, y'all? So I actually listened through the audio this time instead of reading the book. Not gonna lie, I've been pushing the eats super hard. So I've definitely gone through like at the very least chapter 1 and 2. But from what I remember with the intro and chapter 1, oh my god. There are so many different like pieces that I was like I heard so many different references that my dad has explained to me over the past like 10 years. And it's really funny because I always looked at my dad as the rich dad. And now it's like growing up, now I'm starting to see that, like, while yes, my dad was a 6-figure earner at work. He did not know how to make 6 figures on his own in business. So it it put a lot of things in perspective, and it made a lot of things make sense as to why he would speak to me and say certain things whenever I would get tapped into like something different, and like I would always be looking to grow knowledge, and he would always be like, yes, grow your knowledge, learn, but don't forget full-time job, part-time business, full-time job, part-time business. And yeah, there's so much to comb through with just chapter 1. I'm still kind of like gathering my thoughts as it is. So I'm just gonna leave it at that, honestly. I'm really intrigued. I'm really more intrigued on hearing everybody else's point of view for the little bit of time we have. So I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. And I'm gonna popcorn. Sam, are you available? Did you already go?
Hey, what's up, y'all? I'm actually in another seminar. I just came to get the sauce y'all are giving. I appreciate y'all. I can't go right now, but much love, y'all.
All good, Brody. Rochelle, go ahead. Go for it. Roshi.
I'm not a pick me though, but I wanted to be picked this time. Um, so I have a lot of notes too, Imani. I don't know what to share about, but I'll pick one or two. Um, I think the first thing, first of all, that little example of them making the nickel printing business was really cute and funny. I just wanted to say that. And very creative, right? And it the part about that, the quote, "You're only poor if you give up. The most important thing is that you did something. Most people only talk and dream of getting rich. You've done something," unquote. That part stuck out to me because it's really easy to give up after one failure. For myself, I don't even have to get to the failure part before I give up because persevering through things can be it can be hard. And I wrote in my notes, I'm hard-headed and I want to keep trying something until I accomplish it. But there's been a lot of things I've dropped the ball on because I didn't get the results I wanted to in the time that I wanted to. So I quit before the miracle happened. And that's why that part just stuck out to me a lot because I know that I just need to start doing things and getting results doesn't I have to like check my expectations about my results. And like something that the group has been talking about a lot in the past week is like enjoying the process more than enjoying the actual results. And so just like getting into the process, falling in love with the process of something and just taking it one step at a time and worrying about like what's right in front of me is the most important thing because everything down the line will come together if I, just work with what's in front of me at this moment. Um, Maybe I'll talk about one more thing. I don't know. I'm just gonna say that last night I called Marcos and was like, "Tell me not to quit my job," because I read the first chapter and I was ready to quit my job, y'all. Um, let's see. Nicole, do you want to go?
Hey everyone. So I listened to the audiobook, so I have no notes, but I did want to share about, I guess, them like seeing the opportunity wherever they looked. Once the nickel thing didn't work out and they did the comic book thing, they were taking what they saw in front of them and learning the first concept of making money to work for you. And just as a little kid, just like being able to recognize that and see like that there's opportunities out there, and that if we don't believe that, we're going to be able to do this, or like kind of look for it where we don't expect, then that opportunity we might, miss it. So it's almost like seeking like sometimes, like, when you buy a new car and you want this certain kind of car, then you start to see it everywhere. Well, I do the same thing with like looking for like hearts like everywhere I go and stuff like that, like in the leaves or in your food or whatever. And so like it's the same thing. It's like the belief of seeing the opportunity, and then just like learning from the other dad and just having that mentorship, and like him having to like have them make, like, see what it's really like in real life to go through like working for nothing, but then like really understanding your worth and realizing that you could do more with your time and energy, and then like pursuing it. So just the concept that the dad was willing to give them this learning opportunity. It's just crazy how it takes us so long to learn stuff like that sometimes. And yeah, I just taking notes here. Like I said, I think I do better when I do take notes and read at the same time. So I'm looking into actually getting a copy of the book as well. I normally just listen as I go, but like my notes are so important and valuable. And so sharing any notes, I will definitely, hi baby. I will definitely would love, more discussion about this. But yeah, I definitely am excited to read it along with everyone. And I'm happy to be here. And AJ's happy to be here too.
Hi.
And that's all I got. I don't know if anyone wants to go next. Any volunteers?
Marcus said you can popcorn anybody.
Oh, okay. Miss Mary, are you there? She doesn't have her camera on.
Hi guys, yes, I'm here.
There
Can
you
y'all hear
are.
me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna take some time because I was up moving around. But happy Saturday, guys. It feels good to be on book club. I was talking to Marcus, and collectively as a team, this is going on our third time reading this book. So I'm going on my third time reading this book, and I have definitely caught different things as each time I read. But I'm gonna bring up my notes really quick. Okay, so as Cam said, he had a father who made six figures, who gave him good advice, what to do, what not to do. And then you have some where, like me, I'm in my mid 40s. I didn't have that. I didn't have parents who taught me financial literacy, anything like that. So really, honestly, I got an eye opener when I first read this book 2 years ago. So I know the Lord was definitely watching me and pulling me through life, because I definitely know I didn't do this on my own. I was so reckless with my money. I was not, I didn't plan. I did not do any of that. And to read this book and to see that this young man had two influential fathers.
Number two.
Hey, Sam, can you mute?
Savers or losers?
Marcus.
Marcus,
Marcus, can
mute
you
yourself.
mute?
Oh, sorry.
Pay attention to
They're
your mother, bro.
they're in the kitchen. How are they not hearing me?
Sorry, Mama, sorry.
Anyhow, it's okay. No worries. He's trying to teach my daughter, so it's all good. So for having two actual fathers trying to, who've been successful, but one really knows and really has learned how to make money work for him versus typically how we go and we, are able to make our money by us working for the money, by our time, by our clock ins, stuff like that. In the introduction, it mentions different ways on how you say things and how you word things. I know a lot of the times I used to say, I can't afford to do that. Or, I'd see somebody go on a trip. I'm like, oh, that can't never be me. Until I read this book. And of course, until Marcus would tell me and correct me every time I would say I can't. He would say, no, Mom, you got to find a way. There's a way. You got to find a way. What are we going to do? What are we going to do about it? And basically those two, one is a statement you can't afford versus you're questioning, what are you going to do? Or what can you do? Or how can I afford it? I can't afford it kind of just is negative. It makes your brain stop working. It's mental laziness. That's what they mentioned on the introduction. How can I afford it? It makes your brain work. It makes you positive. It makes you, just kind of manifest good things. And it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard when you first start to learn this, because you're going to be on this big, high on, oh, yes, I know this is what needs to happen. But at the same time, you're in the middle of, oh gosh, my old ways are a little bit more comfortable than what I'm bringing myself upon. I wrote a note here and it says, you shape your lives through your thoughts. Be careful with the thoughts we have. And that right there, our thoughts lead to our emotions, and our emotions lead to our actions. And I learned that when I got started with TGF. And it's just crazy. It's crazy to realize and understand that the only way that I've been taught to go to work or, go to school, finish school, get a job, pay your bills, and let the cycle continue. So, like, I never knew that there was different ways that you can thank you. Sorry, my mom. I never knew that there were different ways that we can think or do things for ourselves to get ourselves out of these binds. But of course, it's never easy. If it was easy, everybody would be doing it. But I do like how he expresses the teaching versus like him actually showing him letting him work for his 10 cents back when he was able to when he was working with his rich father, when his rich father was trying to tell him and teach him, I guess, the value of a dollar. And in turn, that's how he was able to teach, not actually by showing him, but like him actually working for that. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to do that for my boys. But now that I know the difference between what I knew then and what I knew now, or what I know now, I try to instill that in my girls because it's just a continued cycle. And I don't want them to be caught up in the rat race. So this book is wonderful. I love it. I'm ready for chapter 2. Let's go ahead. Marcus, you want to go ahead and go since you're there?
Marcus wasn't paying attention just now that he just got called on because he was talking, but it's all good, mama. You know what I'm saying? I could see it in his face. He had no
No,
idea.
it's all good. I appreciate you, Mom. I was literally chopping up with on it, my bad. But it's good to see everybody on. Happy Saturday. Truly, as my mom said, being able to read this like for a third time as an organization, my personal like this is like my fifth time actually looking over the book. And it's kind of crazy to honestly understand things that were written or things that I had had grasped 3 years ago, 4 years ago, and like where my life's at and how I view money. It's completely been transformed through the right education. I was literally showing onto this highlighted section from the introduction, and I just want to remind everybody kind of like why significant or how significant it is to be plugged in and understanding the basis of finances, even if you've never had the guidance before, even if you've been doing your best to figure it out up to this point, even if you've never heard anything about money other than you got to work for it and then you spend it. But it says money is one form of power, but what is more powerful is financial education. Money comes and goes, but if you have the education about how money works, you gain power over it and you begin building wealth. And it's crazy because most people, like he could have said like, and you can be rich or you can have a lot of money, you know what I'm saying? But he really talks about wealth. And as Mom broke down, a lot of you guys have touched on, there's a lot that goes to using money as a tool, and majority of it starts like with your mindset and your personal development, your ability to understand your thoughts, to understand your worth, to understand your time. What's cool about kind of seeing Anna go through this kind of like beginning process of her financial literacy with the family is like she asks a good amount of questions. So I think what my mom was explaining earlier between the statement and the other allowing you to have yourself off the hook. She was like, I don't get that. Like, what does that even mean? So like being able to dive in and help her kind of grasp exactly like when you're in that moment and you allow yourself to say things like I can't afford it, what actually happens from that moment forward in that actual present time that you said it. And then what actually happens after you say the words, how can I afford it? Allowing yourself to start thinking about solutions versus problems. And I think it's always sometimes, yo, I appreciate this man Mikhail a lot because I feel like at the beginning of our journey, felt like these guys trying to figure out the nickel situation, y'all, and the comic book situation. It's just wild, and it's crazy because it seems like a lot of people are like, how do people make money come out of thin air? And it's not any of that. Jim Rohn brings this up, and it was very reminiscent while I was rereading these two chapters, and it's the fact that if you were to split all of the world's income equally amongst everybody on the planet, eventually the money would end up back in the same pockets because most people don't understand what to do with it. So as I'm like reading this stuff, and it's crazy how much you separate yourself mentally as well as intentionally while you start to grasp concepts and information that the majority do not operate on or live on a day-to-day basis to. And through that, you get to be an example of exposing a lot of these lessons through you putting that and implicating it in your life, even from the smallest bits, to showing them exactly what's possible when you have a better grasp from jump. So it's kind of crazy. What's wild is most people are still never going to understand it and they'll look at you like you're wild, truly, because of how you operate or the ability to utilize debt. I think my guy Mikhail sent me an excerpt from one of the trainings he went to a few years ago. And it was essentially saying like, if you wait to invest until you're out of debt, you will never invest. And it's crazy, y'all, because I believe in debt. I do not believe in debt, going into debt for traditional education. Shout out God, I was able to graduate debt free. But in terms of debt creating wealth, I'm 1000% all for it. In fact, like literally money is printed on a daily basis and is literally created out of debt. Every time we print money, our debt increases because we got to pay back the Federal Reserve. So with that being said, what I want y'all to understand is like, I find myself in a good amount of debt, but the debt I have is literally borrowed income that I did not have to go and actually run plays and get us closer to having more income circulating throughout our community. And through that, like I'm glad I'm in debt because I'm actually putting into practice a lot of the things that he is teaching and that he has taught me through this book. And although it can be scary at times, and although it's different because, or excuse me, it's uncomfortable because it's different, I lean into it because I understand like the wealthy people are investing and they're usually investing other people's bread to turn that bread into more bread. So I'm like, okay, so even though like it doesn't compute my brain because I've always grown up learning what we've always been taught, working hard, getting a paycheck, paying the bills and getting by. I know that there's more out there. So the one thing I want to leave for those who hadn't started reading yet, or I didn't hear anybody touch on it, but at the very beginning of lesson 1, the poor and the middle class work for money. The rich have money work for them. So you've got to literally not just understand it, you've got to fully believe and encompass this principle. You've got to recognize like, hey, if I'm continuously working for money, then I am literally in the poor class. I don't even want to say middle class because middle class is getting extinguished as we speak, like more than it's ever been. The gap continues to spread. So through that, my brother said the power of residual income, creating multiple income streams so that my money, even though I am sleeping, is making more money for me. Creating and developing systems as an entrepreneur so that these systems can save myself some stress, time, energy, and income money. That's what system stands for. And it can generate more money, whether or not I'm there to run the system. Systems can be ran by others. This is how the wealthiest people on the planet have all their time. And that's all I want from this entire experience is really remembering that at the end of the day, the income is going to come because I value my time. And it's not the other way around. I literally want to live my life in a way that allows people to show through, as he said, through action, that you can learn, through action you can change, and through action you can actually get to where you sorry, that was my nephew. But through action you can actually get closer to where you truly want to go. So I want to leave y'all with this. He said on page 34, life pushes all of us around. Some people give up and others fight. Who are you? Are you somebody that when life pushes you around, because it will, or it is, are you going to fight or are you going to give up? Most quit and few like to fight. But the rich dad told him, if you learn this lesson, you will grow into a wise, wealthy, and happy young man. If you don't, you will spend your life blaming a job, low pay, or your boss for your problems. You'll live life always hoping for that big break that will solve all your money problems. He goes, rich dad looked over at me, and as I was still listening, his eyes met mine. We stared at each other, communicating through our eyes. Finally, I looked away once I had absorbed his message. I knew he was right. I was blaming him, and I did ask to learn. I was fighting. So, y'all, continuously fighting for what it is you want. As you're diving into these concepts, if you don't understand, reach out to somebody and actually seek even more guidance. Shout out Miss Roshizi for hitting me up last night. You know what I'm saying? She was like, bro, this is how I'm feeling. This is how the book gave me some insight. What do I need to do? And please tell me I am thinking the right way. So one, that's the type of process. She's fighting for her understanding and she's fighting for her ability to do this the right way. Y'all do the same. You know what I'm saying? It's not just the grasping of the information, it's the application of it. So boom, without further ado, I'm gonna pass this thing over to my sister. And she's got the floor. Yeah, let's go. Round of applause for Hannah. Let's get it. Yay, mommy. All right, cool. I got it. Go ahead. I read some of it to you. You can talk about any of the big things that stood out or anything that you caught from it. Or from anybody else's take. Oh, good. What stood out?
Probably about like when my mom said, having like to do the rat race for like the rest of your life and stuff like that. And I feel like that's something that I don't want to do ever. I feel like that's just a draining and it's just like wasting time and energy when you can be like I know I say this and I don't do it, but like but I just like I can tell like that's just not the way I want to live my life. So yeah. I took a lot out of what my mom and my brother say, even though they think I don't. I really do, or else I wouldn't be saying it if I didn't listen to them. But I think it's just a lot about like having the willpower and inside of you to like because like if I don't want to live that life, like why should I? Like I have literally free will to not live that type of life. So yeah, I think that's all that I got out of it.
And that Sabers?
Oh yeah. Wait, what do you mean?
And that Sabers or what?
Savers what?
Sabers or what?
Oh, and savers are livers.
Okay, cool. You can popcorn whoever.
That's
you.
Oh, I can go. Matthew can go next.
Delio.
What is up, y'all? Can y'all hear me? Are we good? Are we Gucci? Está bien? Cool.
Gucci.
Well, hope everybody's having a blessed Saturday thus far. Honestly, this book is probably one of my favorites that we've ever read, just because it's literally changed. I remember when we first read this. What was it, like 2 years ago? I was actually on the way to the beach, and I was playing it through my through like the audio book through the car, just so I can be like focusing. There's nothing else to do with me driving. So the crazy thing about this book is that it literally it kind of puts into perspective that like everything you learned up until now, up until you read the book, is honestly, excuse my language, but kind of like bullshit, you know. And it makes you look at money different. It makes you look at your time different. It makes you look at everything that you've learned through going through high school, going through college, if you went that route, on how to actually not just like make money, but how money is able to like work for you. And just going through the actual when they when they like the whole coin nickel stuff, when they did that thing, and then going into the comic book stuff, it really just at a very early age, you can be taught either two different routes, like having a rich dad, having a poor dad. Putting it into my perspective and into like my life and how me and Marcus grew up, like my dad made okay money. He's not rich by any means, but he's not struggling by any means. And we were always taught, go to school, get good grades so you can go to college. Then you go after college, you graduate, you find a job that pays good money, quote unquote. And that's basically what you do. And then you retire after 40 years to live off of 40% of your income through like a 401k or whatever that they have set up for you. But for me, like everything that the book says, or that Robert Kiyosaki says, and what he learned from his rich dad, literally just changed my whole perspective on how you should live your life, and how you should actually spend your time, and if you don't it's crazy because if you don't get around the people that have the knowledge that you can apply, it's certain information that you won't ever know. You're just gonna know what you've been taught growing up. So that's why, like, when we go through this book and we go through different things on like mindset and different things on how to actually make money work for you and stuff like that, it's a complete like shock to people who have never actually ever heard the information before, because it's new. You know, it's like learning how to walk again, but as an adult. You know, and um, for me, when I had first initially read the book, it honestly changed everything for me. Like, I remember driving, I was like, oh shit, sorry for the language again. But I was like, oh dang, like I didn't really understand that. I didn't really get that until like now, and actually listening through everything and stuff like that. And it just puts into perspective a lot of stuff that we've learned growing up based on our backgrounds, because I'm pretty sure most of us didn't grow up wealthy, you know, and um, there's just different things, different mindsets, different um, opportunities that you can go do to actually to actually live like a wealthy life, and not just to have money, but to actually be able to do different things. Like Marcus said, the biggest honestly shock to me was the whole um, debt stuff. Like, I never knew, me personally growing up, I thought debt was always a bad thing. It's bad to have debt. It's bad to take out credit cards. It's bad to do stuff like that. But there's a thing such as good debt, to where you can actually go get some income so you can go multiply that stuff. And a lot of people don't know how to, a lot of people can go make money, but a lot of people don't know how to 10x that, or don't know how to make it last, or don't know how to pass it from generation to generation. And like diving deeper into the book, y'all will actually understand, if you've never read it before. It'll literally change everything on how you think of money, how you look at it, how you look at your time, how you look at a job. Like, after reading it the first time, bro, I cannot stand working, you know, but I have to do what I have to do because I have a family, I have a kid, so I can't just like not go, you know. But this is why we read this book so much, because to get you back into that mindset of, okay, there's a certain way how you should do things, and there's a certain way how you shouldn't, I guess. And um, for me, this book's just a blessing, because it's honestly changed everything for me on how I look at stuff. So that's pretty much all I got. I appreciate y'all. And I think Marcus said Kelsey got Nate next. So Kelsey, are you, man?
Appreciate you, bro. Yeah, I'm out here in the chaos of college move-in day, helping my cousin get all situated. So it's kind of a lot. But yeah, as a few other people too, this is my third time reading / listening to this book as well. And just as Mama Mary said too, like every time I read it, just different stuff kind of sticks out to me. And I think the biggest thing for me, I think it was in chapter 1. I don't know if anybody has touched on it yet, but is kind of how the majority of people use their emotions when it comes to money. You know, a lot of people, he was talking about the 2 women and the guy who was in his living room, and you know, how they were just in fear of not being able to pay their bills, not being able to, you know, take care of themselves. And it was all based out of fear. And so they were perfectly content working for the wage that he was offering, simply just so they had a job and they knew that they were going to have income. And I think that's kind of where, you know, Robert Kiyosaki was kind of at, where he's like, dude, why am I working for freaking 3 dimes a day? Like, it is what it is. But, you know, being kind of upset about it. And, you know, that was a big thing that stuck out to me, is kind of like in what we do. He was having that conversation with them and he goes, okay, like, cool, y'all are still down to work for me, but now I'm not going to pay you anything. And he's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. But it's like, you either, I mean, a few people touched on it, but, you know, you either work for the money, which is what a lot of people do. And it is pretty much just based out of fear or desire for money. And like I've been there. And you know, my parents growing up were the type of people that, you know, get a job, pay what you need to pay, and then save everything else. And then as I grew into adulthood, I kind of did get that same type of thing that they were talking about in the book, where it's like, okay, well, now I'm an adult, I can do what I want. I just got paid. I'm gonna go, you know, not having that financial literacy to know of like, just because I have the money doesn't mean I need to go spend it on, you know, things that aren't worth it, essentially. And oh, there was one other thing I was going to talk about too. No, I don't remember. But yeah, I mean, essentially that's what a lot of people are taught, is to get the job. They keep the fear in you, and that's why, you know, I've noticed it with obviously prices of things going up. That causes fear in people and keeps them in that mindset of, I need to have a job. But then, like you said, with those people in his living room, they were blaming him. They were blaming the government. They were blaming, you know, everything on the outside circumstances. And I think that was kind of cool what towards the end of chapter 1, where he said, you know, like, that's not the problem, you're the problem. And being able to kind of watch that story unfold of them using their minds and coming up with, you know, the comic book idea to create, you know, an income for themselves when at the time they weren't getting paid. So yeah, that was kind of my biggest takeaway. Obviously, in what we do, we have to know that we get taught by life and not necessarily by, you know, people saying things. Like, it's all good to obviously mastermind with people, ask questions and stuff, but the real learning is you know, when you're out there actually going through it. So we got to run in here. So I don't know who's all gone. Sam, I don't think you've gone yet, bro, if you want to go.
Hey, real quick, I just wanted to say, Kelsey, like, that was something really big that he said, because he explained how so many people will quit their job and try to go to a different job and get paid more money, and they think that that is the solution, because they're still in blaming mode, blaming their bosses, blaming the pay, blaming anything they can, where when it's really like the lack of financial literacy that helps them take what money they have and turn it into wealth. And then also just the mindset in general is like, people think that changing, myself included, I've done that and I've learned the lessons of that. But people think that it's easier to change the world and situations, when in reality, it's much easier to change oneself and then shape the reality that you live in. And that was super important. So I'm glad you touched on that.
Yeah, and I think that's a big thing that separates like us on this call from the 95%. And that's something that was also kind of a reminder when I was going through the intro in chapter 1, is like, a lot of people think money's the answer, but we know that obviously money is just the tool. So
Facts.
yeah. Sam on the iPad. I don't know if you've gone yet.
Hey, yeah, I'm just here for the sauce, show the support. Yeah, this book is one of them ones, man. It just explains just how to change the view on money. Have money working for you. The top 1% have time and money, and that's something that we do not have. And they teach you how to just change that perspective to have your money working for you, so you can get that time and money. I'm actually in another seminar, so I'll keep this short. Much love. I appreciate all y'all.
Jason, I seen that camera pop on. It's all you, player.
I was like, go ahead.
What's happening? What's happening, family? What's going on? Rich Dad, Poor Dad, right? Chapter 1.
Yeah, intro in chapter 1. Yes, sir.
Bet. So I actually have. So from what I remember, I haven't read it again, but I remember reading it last year when I first got started with TGF. Let's go. I think that was one of the first books we read. Well, I read. So from what I remember, I know that after this book is when I actually uh who said that they called up Marcus wanting to quit their job or whatever. Who's the one that said that? Somebody
Somebody
said
Measy,
called
that.
out
bro,
Marcus with his
cheesy.
mom.
Uh,
It was like, well,
okay, cool. Whatchamacallit, you're not the only one, because I haven't I did exactly that. I haven't had a work for money type of job since last year in May, because I understood the importance of investing in myself over putting my money towards people who already have everything. So with that, I know it's more of like letting money come to you. I know he talks about how most people think about their job in like two ways. They think about how to make money, but not how to like actually keep the money flowing. They simply like blindly chase money without seeing that the more money that you pretty much chase, like if you have a regular job, who has worked overtime before? I'm pretty sure people worked overtime. How much more taxes do you get taken out whenever you work overtime? You're working for more to pay more. And then I know that he's actually trying to teach how to keep money flowing without actually doing anything, meaning residual income. There's a real difference about being like rich and wealthy. A lot of people can be rich and have a lot of money, but there will be a point where you run out. And being wealthy means how long can you live without with your assets income. So it's about like developing like assets that will keep. Oh, we're going to do cardio, right? It's about keeping your assets continuously making money. So you're not worried about money. You're just worried about like, okay, where do I spend my time at? How do I continue helping others with the time I have now? Instead of spending your whole life at a job that you hate. That's one thing that really woke me up last year, is just the thought of that. I pictured myself like doing the same thing over and over for 40 plus years, waking up to the same alarm clock, and that scared me enough to like where I'm not gonna do that. I figured the main point of the chapter is to highlight the fact that chasing money will only lead to more problems. And I remember he mentioned something that describes like when he said like a doctor charges more for the people to like go to like the doctor's office and things like that. But when the doctor charges more, the people would need to make more money. So they also increase their charge, which only leads to a divide between the poor and the rich. I know somebody mentioned that the middle class is definitely going to disappear soon in like the near future, and we're not going to have anything. And it goes from John D. Rockefeller said it the best, is he doesn't want a nation of thinkers. He wants a nation of workers. And that's pretty much what they created. They created a system of workers, so nobody knows how to think for themselves anymore. And if you can do that, then you pretty much control the whole systems. That's what everything is about. Yeah, that's what everything really is about. It's about like, if you can think yourself through a problem, you're actually you'll actually have a solution. But if you just have fear through all the problems that you have, you're focusing on the problems, you're just gonna see more problems and problems and problems without actually seeing the solution that you can actually have. But that's pretty much what I had from Rich Dad Poor Dad for chapter 1, at least. I don't know who's gone, but
Jason, on God. I'm sorry, but just on God. You're so right about that. You know, in the book, he mentioned that it was around 1956 when he started this journey, and that the dad said that God forbid or something like that, when if the dollar is no longer backed by gold, you're gonna see the gap between the haves and the have-nots get richer, and that will be the fall of the US. And I was just like, oh God. And that's like literally what's happening right now with inflation. It's like we can't blame, but the thing he said is that you have to have the financial literacy to actually understand what's going on. And if you don't, it will be an imminent fall. And it is crazy to think that we live in a society that could be on the brink of collapse. So thanks for mentioning that.
I do want to mention, however, though, that when most people are encapsulated by fear, like pay attention to what the wealthy people do, aka when most people are going right, go left, because the wealthy people do not operate on the same time or emotional intelligence as he talked about in lesson 1. your emotions really do dictate most of the time what you do, unless you think about your emotions. It's just most people, instead of being an observer of their emotions, are reactors to it. So observe yourself and then observe the masses, see what most people are doing, do the opposite, and remember these principles, because as Jason and Mani had said, like, yes, things are drastically getting like more and more outwardly apparent that the middle class is almost gone, but you're going to fall on like two sides of the line. It's really just dependent on whether or not you have a willingness to think yourself through whatever situations you're in and focus on solutions so that you can use money as a tool and generate actual avenues to get to where you're trying to go. So through that process, like, yeah, a lot of people will view it as like, dude, there's not a lot possibilities right now. And then other people are going to view it like, this is the most opportune time in the world, because we're really seeing an entire shift of wealth happening right before our eyes in a lot of different ways. So one, kudos to y'all. Those last few insights have been fire and desire. Quit playing. But Jason, you can pop one wherever, bro. My fault.
All right, cool. I'm gonna add one last thing. The blaming thing. I don't know. I remember hearing when I was hitting the set, somebody mentioned about blaming. Up until I was about 18, 19 years old, I always blamed my parents for like, because I would see a lot of people who were well off, like who were my age, because their parents were well off and were wealthy and stuff like that. So of course I always had like some envious feeling towards that. But then I had that light bulb click that my mom was only taught so much from her parents, and my dad was only taught so much from her parents. So once I took that blame off of them and pointed back to myself, that's whenever I truly began to change, and that's what took me to the next level. But we're still going up from there. Um, Not sure who went so far. Who has not went? Do you know? Rochelle, you go? I see a little
Yeah, I
raised
think she
hand.
had something she wants to say, but I know Mikhail still needs to go. So does Miss Sis from another Miss Tia as well.
All right, you can go ahead, Mikhail.
Roshizi got something she wanted to say. Go ahead. Ladies first.
Yeah, I wanted to add this term that I heard. I was just discussing it with a different group last night of emotional maturity, and how, like, I don't know, our emotions, it just ties in with what we've been talking, or what the book talks about with letting emotions control us, because what having emotional maturity looks like for me would be not acting out, like reacting from my emotions, but like thinking first and like making a rational response. And so I just think that emotional maturity and emotional intelligence goes hand in hand, and like it's really powerful.
Bet. Well,
Go, Mikhail.
I will say this, Roshizi, you are going to love the next book in the Roto, Emotional Intelligence 2.0. So stay tuned and stick around.
Psychic.
So it's definitely about to go down. Truly, that book is definitely going to change the entire game. I'm excited. Man, y'all have definitely gone through so much today, and it's amazing, truly, because this is literally the introduction to the book in the first chapter. We're literally setting the tone right here. You know what I'm saying? We ain't even got into the meat yet. There's literally an extra like 120 pages of this thing. Babe, I'm kicking you downstairs. Take the kids downstairs. I love you. But what's popping? So with that being said, we gonna dive in, and I just screenshotted all these because I was reading. A lot of these things have been touched on, so I'm gonna try and dance around some of the subjects so I don't dive too much in. But first and foremost, I don't remember exactly which page this was on, but it was on one of the first ones, and it was just an excerpt that I literally screenshotted because ultimately, well, I'm gonna step on a little bit of toes. You know, every time that people hop on this call and they say that they didn't read the book or they didn't listen to the audio. Although both dads worked hard, I noticed that one had a habit of putting his brain to sleep when it came to finances, and the other had a habit of exercising his brain. The long term result was that one dad grew stronger financially and the other grew weaker. It is not much different from a person who goes to the gym to exercise on a regular basis, shout out Jason, versus someone who sits on the couch watching television. Shout out me. No, I'm just playing. But proper physical exercise increases your chances for health, and proper mental exercise increases your chances for wealth. That was a bar. And ultimately, like, there is a difference, and it is why we like really dig in on whole squad, and it's why I was very adamant at the beginning of this book call. And it's truly why I'm so grateful to hear everybody pop on. Like, yeah, I was listening to it. Yeah, I was reading it. They got stories. They got this book. They read it a couple times. So it's truly dope because you guys are literally seeing the changes in yourself. And what's dope is I know for a fact that you're seeing the results happen in your life as you've been digging more into that skill set as well. It takes time, and these type of things don't happen overnight. But literally, the difference maker is the person who actually prioritizes their mental exercise versus the person who doesn't. It is real life. It makes a huge difference. The next thing I just wanted to cover real quick from page 6 was this lesson from Robert Frost. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both, and be one traveler long I stood, and looked down one as far as I could, to where it bent in the undergrowth, then took the other, as just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear. Though, as for the passing there, had warned them really about the same, and both that morning equally lay in leaves no step had trodden back. Oh, I kept the first for another day. Yet knowing how way leads onto way, I doubted if I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh, somewhere, ages and ages hence, two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. He said, over the years, I have often reflected on Robert Frost's poem. Choosing not to listen to my highly educated dad's advice and attitude about money was a painful decision, but it was a decision that shaped the rest of my life. Majority of the time in our lives, we come to this crossroads at a multitude of times. We always do. And you always get the opportunity to take the road less traveled versus the one that's more traveled. And truly, shout out everybody on this call because you guys are literally taking steps in the process that is less traveled. But I literally look at this in all things. Shout out to Marcus when he literally just said, I think it was him who just said it, but ultimately, when you see the world going one way, when you see the masses of majority going one way, more than likely the wealthy people, the true wealthy people who aren't acting like it, are going the other way. It's crazy, but truly that it makes the difference in just choosing a path and ultimately exercising your mental to know the difference and be aware of the difference and be aware of when you're choosing to react out of fear or when you're choosing to react out of passion, which is really anger and excitement at the same time. So it's dope. One lesson he went into this was, like one lesson I liked. Everybody talked about the nickel thing real quick. But like, I know I like to read in between the lines. When his dad told him to like go work for it or like go make money, and they just found a way, you realize that's like 90% of what the world is doing right now. Everybody's just trying to find a way, go make money, go make money. And nobody actually, back to the first part, mental exercise, takes the time to really figure out how. Takes the time to really figure out how to go diversify and build more assets. Majority of people just go throughout life trying to solve the income problem. And that's literally not the problem. And one thing that is very evident in all of the in between the line spaces of these two parts of this book is that you literally have to use your brain. But ultimately, you've got to go and seek people and seek situations, seek environments that are going to be conducive to your growth as well. But they're going to expose you to more because you don't know what you don't know. And if somebody just tells you go do it and they don't show you how, that's literally how life goes majority of the time. And you've got to find these people that do show you how. And that kind of brings me into the next parts that I screenshotted. These were all it was pages 13 through 19. But he talked about wanting to learn from his rich dad and how that whole process started. And ultimately, his rich dad literally put him to work for 10 cents. And do you realize that that is how majority of us look at our current jobs? Why am I making barely enough to go and do anything? And then do you realize that that is also how most of us utilize our income? We take the money that we make from that income and then we go spend it on fun or things that literally don't do anything for us. We go to places and go hang out. We go spend money at the movie theater. We go spend money at this place, at that place. There's a million things. We go to the bar and go get drunk and don't remember Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday morning. We go to church after church. Oh, let's go out to eat. We're going to brunch. We're taking the fam out. We're doing all these things. You realize that from that paycheck on Friday, you have not bought one thing that will make you any money, which is literally the reason the poor stay poor, is because they take all of their income and they spend it, not on assets, but literally liabilities. And it's wild because ultimately, as he was talking about being in that process of working, as he was talking about being there with his rich dad, he was like, yo, I literally take my 10 cents, I go buy a free comic book, and I go home. Like, I done killed my Saturdays. And one thing I also wanted to just have in there, when the dad asked them, hey, yo, I'm going to do this, we're going to do this today, and then I'm going to have y'all work for me for the next few weeks or whatever, 10 cents an hour, and you'll work 3 hours every Saturday. He said, but I have softball today. And dude said, take it or leave it. Successful people know how to make a quick decision. When he said, oh, can I have some questions? No, bro, I ain't got no time for your questions. Take it or leave it. Period. Here's the thing. Fun is always going to be there. These people who are going to teach you, these systems that are going to teach you, these books that we're reading are not. We might be on a whole nother book by the time that you actually start to pay attention, and the one that you needed, you missed. And are you going to take the time to go back and go get that book and read it on top of the one that we're reading on the book club? Are you that dedicated to your growth? Because I'm willing to bet 99% of us aren't. Truly. Just speaking transparently. And in that, like, when you truly like recognize the little things, not even the big lessons, but the little things, those are the things that made all of the difference in his entire story. It was the small little moments of decision of being like, okay, you know what? I'm going to just choose the wealthy side of this. And I'm going to choose to listen to what this guy is telling me, who actually really cares about the fact that, yo, out of 150 people who work for me, bro, you were the first person to ever ask me how I make money and to teach them. Most people just ask for a paycheck. But instead, you decided to actually want to learn how to do this, how to invest, how to live as an entrepreneur. And with that, I'm going to teach you, but I'm not going to teach you through sitting here and having you sit on a lecture. We have some lectures in this squad, but majority of the time, there's life going on. And I want everybody to get that part too. He said life is going to push you around and it's going to teach you lessons. The difference between the major successful and the unsuccessful: the major successful welcome the push. The unsuccessful don't. They get mad and they push at other things. You ever found yourself getting mad at the business and then talking to your friend who's not in the business and they're like, screw that business, you should quit anyway, just like the poor dad was? These are situations that happen to us every single day, especially in this lane of entrepreneurship, and most definitely in the lane of direct sales. There's people calling it dumb, stupid, you're not making enough money, why are you wasting your time, you're missing out on all the fun, all of the little things that he talked about. This is one of the major reasons why Robert Kiyosaki endorses network marketing and direct sales. That's a whole nother conversation. But in there, like, yo, when you make the small choice to stop listening to everybody else and just truly listen to what sets your heart on fire, passion versus anger, period, there's a difference. There's a little bit more in there. So in that, when you can truly choose to listen to what sets your heart on fire, you can go hit whole new levels. Because what did it do? All he did was literally tell him, hey, bro, the rich make money work for them. The poor work for money. And eventually he was like, yo, you know what? How about if we take these comics, we can, eventually he's going to start a whole business plan with these comics if y'all kept reading them. It's crazy. And then they literally ended up starting an entire community business off their 10 cents. Majority of people are not willing to use their brain enough to start a business off of their 10 cents. Majority of people are like, man, I'm not making enough money here. I got to go find another way to make money so that I can do this, instead of just doing what they can right here, right now. I don't remember who I was talking to in the last 24 hours, but I had a crazy conversation with somebody, and they were telling me like, yo, this guy was just telling me like, I feel like it was either Marcus or it was like a video or something, but somebody was telling me, he was like, yo, a lot of people are trying to figure out what they don't have, and God just keeps asking you, what do you have? Use what you have. Why are you praying to me and worried about what you don't? Just use what you have. Why are you trying to figure out what you don't like? Just use what you have. I gave you enough already, period. If God puts you in the position to literally go be making 10 cents, I promise you that 10 cents is going to get you exactly what you need and where you need to go, period. You've literally just got to like mentally check in and be like, I'm about to use this 10 cents and I'm about to take it here. I'm about to go and create opportunities from what it seems like nothing. I'm about to go and create everything. Shout out Imani. She's about to do this in the next 7 days. I'm very excited for you. And I'm excited next week to hear about the process. Because truly, when you have no other option but to eat, or excuse me, when you're hungry, you just eat. Period. You go and figure it out. No matter what, you go and figure it out. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And honestly, that right there is what makes an entrepreneur. The figure it out bone. I've said this for years. Like, yo, the only thing that sets Mikhail Steele apart is I just get my ass up and I figure it out. I don't care what it takes, but we're going to figure it out. Period. I've had what seems like, my bad, y'all, I'm trying to plug in my computer for it dies. What seems like impossible situations happen in my life. And somehow, some way, we just ended up figuring it out. And that is it. You literally got to use your brain, that thing in between your two ears, to figure out exactly what you have, and then figure out how you can make those things come together and create what you need. And so, honestly, it's amazing, like the way that this book just puts everything together. And the last part was how it was so funny. Just rewinding a little bit, how he was like, yo, I'm fed up with this. And old boy was like, yeah, my dad told me that you would get this way. Go talk to him. And he was like, hold on, you set me up? And he was like, no, not really. He just said that you would get like this. So just go talk to him. There is a reason that we do a gold call with everybody who gets started on TGF. Shout out Marcus being the dad who knew that your ass was going to get fed up and want to quit one day. And he literally sits back and he reminds you, hey, bro, what's up with your why? Here's what we wrote down. Here's what we wanted to do. Here's why we wanted to do it. Here's what it means to you. Here's who you're doing it for. Shout out to the 90-day run. Why are you trying to quit now? Do you not want to do it for these people? Do you not want to do it for this reason anymore? Or did something change? Or are you just a little fed up and you're pushing back at me instead of life right now? Those are the reasons that we have those small pieces of this puzzle, literally. And I just don't want y'all to literally take it for granted. What we're doing here is huge. Abundance is inevitable. We are grinding. But one thing that I will not do here is just let nobody play with us, because we're not none to play with at all whatsoever when it comes to the systems, the processes, and everything that we do here at TGF. Truly, like, it is something serious. And ultimately, like, when I was looking at how Rich Dad was teaching him, I'm like, yo, low key, this is exactly how we be teaching our people. We'll let them know what's good, and then life will hit you, and it's like, hey, we want you to utilize your brain. Think, get up off your feet. Let's put feet to pavement. Let's go and make some moves. Let's take the E out of that word and let's get into motion. Period. And in that, as you get into motion, like, that's the one thing that Robert Kiyosaki has done since the beginning. Somebody told him to go make money. This man started making nickels. Period. After he got pissed off and he was like, well, you're either going to keep working or you're going to quit. And hey, either you're going to work for a paycheck like everybody else, or you're going to continue to learn from me, and I'll teach you how to make money work for you. And in that part in the season, that's it's a pivotal season in entrepreneurship, because in that, you have to make a choice. am I about to keep on thinking, living, and moving like the 95%? Or am I going to make a decision to go through this uncomfortable ass season where I might be broker than broke, where things might be turned off, where I ain't got this, I ain't got that. It gets uncomfortable. Are you willing to get uncomfortable for a season and live like others won't? Or excuse me, don't, so that one day you can live like others won't? It's a pivotal question that we obviously must ask. And it's dope that he got asked that question about 4 times in the first 2 chapters, in 4 different occasions as well. And that just goes to show you that along your entrepreneurial journey, you are going to ask yourself this question. Life is going to ask yourself this question. Your family, your friends, everybody around you will ask you all of these questions on why are you staying to do this? And you have to be insane and tell yourself, tell the world, and tell them, because something inside of me is burning and it has to stop burning. And the only way that I can cool it down is if I go and make this happen. Period. So big shout out to y'all, because truly it takes a lot of emotional intelligence to be an entrepreneur. It takes a lot of emotional intelligence to be an adult in 2024, because there's a lot of stuff going on. There's so many distractions out here. There's so many opportunities out here. There's so many obstacles out here, and we have to battle it all, especially when we are focused on going down one path. So I just want to say I applaud y'all. I'm grateful for y'all. I'm grateful for what we have created. And I'm truly grateful for this book, because the last 4 or 5 years since I read this thing the first time, honestly have changed my entire paradigm and how I move and how I raise my family and how I take care of my finances as well. And even though, like, in this past year, y'all, I have had the least amount of finances in my life, I've literally had more upgrades in the last 365 days than I can count. It's kind of wild. And so in that, it works. It is not an income problem that you have, it's a spending problem, literally. So remember that as we move forward, keep that front of mind, and just understand as we go through this book, we are going to shift our priorities so that we can truly go get what we want. So I appreciate y'all. I'm gonna close this thing out. Next week, if I'm not mistaken, we are doing chapters 2 and 3. Marcus, correct me if I'm wrong. Actually, just let me go look at it. It's the 24th today. Boop, boop. Yeah, because he ain't back yet. All right. Book club is not on for this week on this page. Boom, boom, boom. Marcus, 2 and 3?
Yeah.
All right, cool. My bad. I couldn't find the part. I'm on the upcoming events page and was looking for
It's all good. I just checked it.
Yeah, cool. So chapters 2 and 3 for next week, y'all. We're gonna get it in. Stay in tune, and I truly appreciate everybody coming prepared today. And there's some little small groups that happen for the rest of the day where we pop in and chop it up about these notes. I'm all in for it. Let me know. I'm here. I'm in the field, and let's get it in. I will talk to y'all soon, and have a blessed Saturday.
Bye, everybody.